Today is Wednesday, April 30th. We're talking about President Trump's first campaign-style rally since taking office, what he had to say about immigration, trade, and his efforts to topple the bureaucracy. Also, 2 new statewide bans, one over fluoride in public water systems, the other over smartphones in schools, plus findings from Harvard's internal reports on antisemitism and Islamophobia, who was just awarded Congress's highest honor, and the new AI app set to compete with Chat-GPT. Those stories and even more news coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. To celebrate 100 days in office, President Trump returned to a battleground state he won just a few months ago. Trump held a campaign-style rally in Michigan, his largest political event since Inauguration Day. He spoke to the crowd about actions he's taken so far this term. For example, on immigration, the president showed a video of migrants being led away in shackles to a notorious Supermax prison in El Salvador, which drew big cheers from the crowd. On tariffs, Trump said, quote, "Instead of putting China first, I'm putting Michigan first." And on his efforts to cut and remake the federal government with billionaire advisor Elon Musk, Trump said he's happy to fire thousands of workers who have been, as he put it, corrupt, incompetent, and unnecessary. Trump also repeatedly criticized former President Biden for both his presidency and his appearance. And Trump claimed again to have won the 2020 election, despite election officials and courts saying otherwise. Plus, the president attacked news coverage and polls that show his popularity has fallen. He says they're all fake. Either way, Democrats are also struggling in polling right now, and many polls show Republican voters still strongly backing the president. As for what comes next, Trump said, quote, "We've just gotten started. You haven't seen anything yet." President Trump signed executive orders to relax some of his tariffs on vehicles and auto parts. To be clear, the tariffs still exist, but these orders help the car industry avoid tariffs stacking on top of each other. For example, if manufacturers pay the 25% tariff on imported vehicles, they'll be able to avoid extra tariffs on steel and aluminum. And companies can be somewhat reimbursed for vehicles assembled in the U.S., even if they have foreign parts. This comes after automakers and independent analysts warned tariffs could raise prices, lower sales, and make American production less competitive worldwide. Now, Trump says he's decided to give automakers a temporary break while they work to bring production back to the U.S. Speaking of tariffs, a report came out this week saying Amazon was thinking about displaying the impact of tariffs on prices as customers check out. It was a move the White House called a hostile and political act. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos even got a call from President Trump himself over it. Now the retail giant is clarifying, saying it had considered displaying tariff impacts on its Amazon Haul website, but never the main site. And either way, it's not going to happen. Tariffs have already sent consumer confidence to the lowest level since the height of the pandemic in May of 2020. At least that's according to the Conference Board's long-running survey. In that survey, Americans' expectations for business conditions, job prospects, and future income all fell. But for now, economic activity is holding up. The president of Harvard University is now apologizing and promising to make changes. It comes in response to 2 internal reports that came out this week. One of them found antisemitism could be found in Harvard's coursework, social scene, and some faculty hires. A separate report also came out on anti-Arab, anti-Muslim, and anti-Palestinian bias on campus. It found 92% of Muslims surveyed believed they would be punished for expressing political opinions. Harvard's president explained, saying the Hamas attack on Israel and the war that followed in Gaza had brought long-simmering tensions to the surface. But now he says he'll address them. Of course, this also comes as the Trump administration scrutinizes Harvard over anti-Semitism concerns and as the government and university fight over funding. Some of the changes Harvard is now working on are similar to the ones the White House called for earlier this month. Some of President Trump's latest job cuts include members of the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum Board. Trump fired members who were appointed by former President Biden, including former Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, who is Jewish. Emhoff put out a statement about his removal on social media, saying, quote, "Holocaust remembrance and education should never be politicized." He said it dishonors the memories of 6 million Jews who were killed in the Holocaust. But the White House says Trump wants to appoint people who are not only focused on honoring the memory of the fallen, but who are also, quote, steadfast supporters of the state of Israel. Of course, those board members make up a very small portion of the hundreds of thousands of federal employees who have lost their jobs under the Trump administration, and many programs have been cut entirely. Just yesterday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said he is proudly working to cut the Women, Peace, and Security program inside the Pentagon. It was designed to increase women's participation in national security spaces, but Hegseth called it woke and a distraction for troops. President Trump actually signed this program into law during his first term, and the bill was originally co-sponsored by his current Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem. Just this month, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff told Congress the program helps troops in battle. Regardless, Hegseth has also made other cuts, like he removed certain books from the U.S. Naval Academy, like those on the Holocaust, histories of civil rights, racism, and feminism. This week, Congress bestowed its highest honor to the only Army battalion to serve in Europe during World War II that was all Black and all women. The battalion cleared a backlog of 17 million pieces of undelivered mail in 3 months, twice as fast as projected. It was considered critical to keeping American soldiers' morale during some of the most grueling chapters of the war. Today, the battalion only has 2 surviving members, and they're both older than 100, so they did not make the trip to Washington. But hundreds of descendants of battalion members gathered in the Capitol to honor their relatives' legacy yesterday. The medal was approved by bipartisan legislation that passed both chambers of Congress unanimously. More news is still coming up, but first, this episode of The Newsworthy is sponsored by Skims. As someone who mostly works from home and as a mom, I basically live in t-shirts, but have struggled with the quality and fit until I found Skims. Skims cotton tees are now one of my wardrobe essentials. My most recent get is the cotton jersey long sleeve tee. It's soft, comfortable, and never rides up. Plus, it's flattering and looks great. I always appreciate something I can wear on its own or for layering. My closet is filled up with Skims now for good reason. From that cotton jersey long sleeve, to the soft lounge fold-over pant and tank, to the fits everybody black tee, to the long slip dress, Skims has all the perfect go-tos for my everyday clothes when I want to be comfortable yet stylish. Try it for yourself and see. Shop Skims tees as well as their ultimate bra collection and more at skims.com and Skims LA flagship on Sunset Boulevard. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you, select podcast in the survey, and be sure to select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Now, back to the news. Alzheimer's now affects more than 7 million seniors in the U.S. The Alzheimer's Association put out its yearly report with the new data yesterday. It also got into how new advancements could change how the disease is detected and treated. For example, blood tests for Alzheimer's aren't approved for everyday use yet, but the association says in research studies, they've improved the accuracy of diagnoses by up to 91%. And the report points out how diagnosing Alzheimer's earlier could open the door to treatments when they have the best chance of working, helping people stay mentally sharper for longer. It also says more than 140 different treatments are now in development, aiming to target different symptoms and stages of the disease. And it announced the launch of AltsNet. It's a new nationwide tracking system that follows patients, collecting real-time data on new treatments. By the year 2060, the number of Americans living with Alzheimer's is expected to grow to more than 13 million. Florida is now set to become the second state to ban fluoride from the public water systems. State lawmakers overwhelmingly passed a bill to do so yesterday. And now it just awaits Governor Ron DeSantis' signature to become law. In Florida, supporters said removing fluoride could save local governments money. Opponents argued everyday people rely on fluoride for dental health. Remember, Utah was the first state to pass a fluoride ban for public water systems. It's set to go into effect a week from today. New York is now on track to ban smartphones at schools during school hours. Governor Kathy Hochul announced the plan as part of a tentative agreement with state lawmakers. She says it's a way to protect kids from addictive technology that pulls their attention in the same way kids are protected from cigarettes and alcohol. But some parents object, saying they want to be able to reach their kids during emergency situations. Hochul hasn't detailed exact plans for this ban yet, just that it will apply to students in kindergarten through 12th grade starting next school year. In the past, she's suggested giving schools flexibility over how they want to enforce the ban, like how to store students' devices. There would also be exemptions for certain students, like those with learning disabilities and those who don't speak fluent English. At least 8 other states have already enacted measures to ban or restrict cell phone use in schools, including Florida and California. Well, Meta has just launched a new standalone artificial intelligence app called, you guessed it, Meta AI. The app has all the things you'd probably expect, like allowing users to chat with Meta AI through text or voice, generate images, and search the web for real-time information. But what really sets it apart is its social capabilities. In the US and Canada, the app can draw from your Facebook and Instagram activity to tailor responses to you. As you know, Meta also owns those social platforms. The Meta AI app also features a Discover feed, where users can see and share AI prompts and responses, and even like, comment on, or remix other shared AI posts to make them their own. Meta's AI assistant has already been integrated into Meta's other platforms, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Messenger. But this standalone app, Meta AI, marks a big step in Meta's push to compete directly with Chat-GPT and others. Starbucks might have more than 17,000 locations in the U.S., but one that just opened in Texas is unlike any of the others. That's because it's the first to be made from 3D printed materials. The store is in Brownsville, Texas, about 20 miles from SpaceX's Starbase launch site. It's a 1,400-foot drive-through-only location built with layers of concrete piped out by a giant robotic printer. It's set to open Friday. Researchers say construction using 3D technology still costs more than traditional wood framing, but it helps address a labor shortage and can be a way to get something built faster. And that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Work Wednesday, when we break down one interesting career or work-related news story every Wednesday. But first, this episode is brought to you by Hiya Health. As busy parents, I know you do not want to have one more thing to think about, which is why it's so great that Hiya sends their vitamins straight to your door each month. But even more than that, I chose Hiya because, unlike other children's vitamins that basically seem like candy in disguise, Hiya's has zero sugar and zero gummy junk. I also love knowing Hiya is helping to support my son's immune system, energy, brain function, mood, concentration, teeth, and more. We have both the best-selling children's vitamins and the probiotics. And if you're tired of battling with your kids to eat their greens, Hiya now has Kids Daily Greens and Superfoods. It's a chocolate-flavored greens powder designed specifically for kids, packed with more than 55 whole food ingredients to support brain power, development, and digestion. Just scoop, shake, and sip with milk or any non-dairy beverage for a delicious and nutritious boost your kids will actually enjoy. We've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/newsworthy. The deal is not available on their regular website, so go to Hiya Health, HIYAHEALTH.com/newsworthy and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults. Okay, now back to Work Wednesday. So as it turns out, your vibes could make all the difference in a job interview. In a first-of-its-kind study, the workplace software company Textio found that hiring decisions are actually more influenced by a candidate's likability than their relevant skills. The study analyzed written assessments and experiences from more than 10,000 interviews, and it found candidates who receive offers are 12 times more likely to be described as having a great personality than those who don't. What constitutes a great personality apparently differs for men and women, too. Like, women are described as bubbly 25 times more often than men and pleasant 11 times more often, whereas men are more often described as level-headed and confident. Either way, it doesn't always work out. The same study found that when candidates are hired based on clear, skills-based interview assessments, they're more likely to still be in the company 3 years later. By the way, the trend apparently goes both ways. A recent Gallup report found job candidates also tend to choose between organizations based on the feeling they get during their interviews. So Textio is now calling for less biased interviewing all the way around. Well, thank you so much for listening today and for all your support of this show. We'll be back tomorrow to keep you in the know with more news. Until then, have a great day.